Right, Paul Clutterbuck here from First to Fitness. So I'm going to go through the nutritional pyramid with the main goal for fat loss or weight loss. So you might have seen some of my videos where I talk about calories quite a lot. It's pretty much, again, on here. So it's the first run of the nutritional pyramid, really. If someone has no idea of the calories they're taking in, so there is 101 ways that we can do this, but if someone is not losing weight and that's their main goal, there's a very good chance that they are not in a calorie deficit. I will go over the difference between underreporting and over-reporting when it comes to nutrition and calories. I'll create a separate video for that. But essentially, if you can't be, or if you don't know how to get into a calorie deficit, there's a very, very good chance that diet's not going to work for you. So all diets will have to get you in a calorie deficit. Doesn't matter which method you choose. For it to work, you have to be in a calorie deficit. Next one up on that would be macronutrients. So you may have heard people talk about macros, or if it fits my macros, they're basically talking about proteins, fats, and carbohydrates. So out of those three, I would say protein would probably be the more important one. Alcohol is actually the fourth macronutrient, but I haven't got it on there. So out of that pyramid there, your calorie balance, so being in a calorie deficit and getting a good amount of protein in, I would say that probably the two things to look for if you wanted to lose weight. The protein will actually help you with anything that grows and repairs in the body will require protein. So that's why I say prioritize the protein. Going up from here onwards, they're pretty much, they're really on the least important side of things. So micronutrients would be your vitamins and minerals. If you wanted a good insurance policy, take a multivitamin. In the UK, I would probably recommend the majority of people take some form of vitamin D supplement, obviously because we don't get much of the sunlight here. But again, that's not a blanket statement across the board. From here, again, least important. Sleep, supplements, nutrition timing, there's a whole lot of other things that people look at first before they understand their calorie balance. So an example, people would look to buy fat burners without understanding what they're eating. Essentially, you're going to be wasting your money and you're not going to see anything in return for it. If you can control the food that you're taking in, you'll probably have a much higher success rate than anything above the bottom run on there. So control your calories first, prioritize protein, and those are probably the two main things I would say to look at if someone wants to lose weight. Your fats and carbs, they can fluctuate. As long as you don't have any trigger foods, what I call trigger foods. So a trigger food would be something that you take one bite of, promising you're only going to take one bite and you end up clearing the whole chocolate bar, for example. Sleep can have a knock-on effect further down. So for example, if someone is not getting much sleep, they're more hungry because of that. And then obviously they're going to turn to calories and more food to support that hunger. I would then say that person would need more sleep, and then hopefully that would have a knock-on effect back down the chain. So then they start to go back into that calorie deficit without feeling hungry and then getting more food. But adherence basically covers the whole pyramid. So what I mean by this is if you can't adhere to a calorie deficit for a certain amount of time and you're only dipping into it, say once, twice a week, there's if you have that type of approach, so example would be someone being good Monday to Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, they relax on their eating, and there's a very good chance that those 3 days will ruin the work they've put in Monday to Thursday. So there would have to be some form of adherence over the weekend. Saying that though, you don't have to be restrictive on a Saturday night if you're going out on a social event. There are ways and means that we can chop and change things leading up to that social event, so you can still relax and enjoy the event without feeling too restrictive. But those are little changes that we need to make, and I've actually done another video on that as well, on how you can do that, lose weight and still go out and enjoy yourself. So without adhering to the diet or calorie deficit long term, again, there's going to be very little long-term success on any diet plan. So that's where people fall into the yo-yo dieting approach. They'll drop into a calorie deficit, and then they'll come out of that calorie deficit for one reason or another, and then they'll put the weight back on again, then they'll drop. So an example for that would be someone who goes to a slimming club, they lose the weight, they either hit a weight that they're happy with, or they just don't like the dieting approach. They come off that slimming club's method of dieting, and then they go back to their old way of dieting, which actually made them the size they didn't like. So therefore their weight will come up again, and then they'll go back to that same slimming club, lose the weight, and then they're just on that forever yo-yo cycle. I think Oprah Winfrey is probably the most famous yo-yo dieter of them all, who was a spokesperson for Weight Watchers, which probably wasn't the best example, but hey ho. So yeah, that's the nutritional pyramid for fat loss or for weight loss. Out of that, the two things I would say look at would be your calorie balance. So you want to be in a calorie deficit, and if you're training especially, getting adequate amount of protein in. Like always, if you've got any questions, if you just post them in the comments below, and yeah, we'll get back to you.